Welcome to Peoria Pulse, news and information about the city of Peoria that's for you and your neighbors. Today we're here with John Townsend of Maricopa County's Environmental Services Division, and we're here to talk about West Nile virus and mosquitoes, and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What is West Nile virus? We hear so many things about it, but really what is it from the expert?
Well, it's an actual virus that's carried by birds, and the mosquitoes pick it up from birds. It grows inside the mosquito, and then it can be transferred to humans, horses, and other birds. So that's how you get a cycle going of the kind of the bird mosquito cycle, and then once it gets too large, it'll spill off into the human population.
Now mosquitoes generally come from, in our area, from pools, or are there other sources where mosquitoes grow?
Yeah, I mean, lately pools are a big source, swimming pools, vacant homes, those types of things. But, in nature, just basically any place that you have standing water that's permanent or semi-permanent, especially in the summertime, you can have mosquito breeding. So.
Yeah. So is this a really big deal in Arizona, and especially Maricopa County?
Well, yeah, I mean, since West Nile was introduced back in 2003, it's been an ongoing problem. We've had human cases every year since then, and we've had positive West Nile mosquitoes that are caught throughout the valley. So it's considered endemic in the population now.
Now, do all mosquitoes carry the West Nile virus, or?
No, I mean, actually most people don't think about it, but we have actually different types of mosquitoes, and the mosquitoes that normally bother people, the ones that bite during the daytime, the ones that maybe early in the morning or right as you're sitting out on your patio or something early in the evening, that are biting you and those types of things, aren't really associated with West Nile. Those are associated more with floodwater, irrigation, after storms, those types of things. So they're called floodwater mosquitoes. They're not really associated with diseases that much. The mosquitoes that bite late at night are the encephalitis mosquitoes, they call them. They're Culex mosquitoes. And those are the ones that you have to worry about, the ones that, they don't come in big giant numbers. It's not like you got 10 mosquitoes on your face trying to...
They're kind of rogue on their own.
Yeah, they're just like, I always have the analogy, it's the mosquito that you wake up in the morning and you see it, bouncing around in the bathroom and you don't know how it got in your house. They're just...
That's the one to be careful of.
They're the stealthy ones that you have to be careful about. Yeah.
Well, so, we think of, the standing water and green pools. What's the biggest source of, mosquito larvae in the Maricopa County?
Well, in the more urban environments, it is the pools and the areas that you have flood irrigation. Usually even in a lot of the urban, even in Central Phoenix and Peoria and Glendale, you have areas that have floodwater irrigation. So you'll get those big blooms of floodwater mosquitoes coming off of those irrigations in the summertime. If that water doesn't percolate down and get out of the soil, and it becomes standing water, well then the Culex mosquitoes will come back in and they'll lay their eggs and go through their life cycle, and then you'll have those Culex mosquitoes or those nighttime biting mosquitoes coming off of that. Lately with some of the housing problems and those types of things, we've seen a huge increase in swimming pools that are basically little swamps in the middle of these neighborhoods that go for maybe a year with no maintenance, and you get lots of mosquito breeding that can occur in those types of areas. So that's what we've spent a lot of time on.
So what is the county doing, your department doing, to help eradicate some of these issues?
Well, a couple different things. We have sites that we've identified throughout Maricopa County that we check on a monthly basis. We sample on a weekly basis about 600 different areas throughout Maricopa County.
And what are these? Are these areas like irrigation areas, farming?
Yeah, from years past, we've gone through and identified problem areas
I see.
for one reason or another. Some of them are floodwater, some of them are drains that don't work good. Recently a lot of it's been associated with swimming pools and those types of things. So we'll set out traps once a week, and depending on the mosquitoes that we catch that night, then we'll test those mosquitoes for West Nile, and also look at what kinds of mosquitoes are being trapped, how many are being trapped, and we have kind of a threshold that if we catch too many of those floodwater mosquitoes, or we catch too many of those Culex nighttime biting mosquitoes, then we'll set that area up and treat it for fogging. So I think last year Peoria had probably right around 300 swimming pools that we had complaints on, that we came out and we put fish in the swimming pools, and that's usually a good long-term treatment. Once you get the fish in the pool, they pretty much eat everything that's in there. Yeah. So they last until somebody either buys that house or comes in and cleans up that pool.
So you brought a few examples of it looks like some larvae, but also some fish. Explain a little bit about what this is.
Yeah, these are gambusia. They're not a native fish, so we don't put them in any kind of a waterway or anything that's native waterway. We put them in mostly swimming pools or closed systems. Or we put them in water troughs for horses, but just places where they won't make their way into nature as easy as putting them in the Salt River or that type of thing.
Are they a problem if they got into our natural waterways?
Yeah, they can be, because they're non-native. They can outcompete some of the native species that are around. But they're real good. They love to eat mosquito larvae. That's kind of their food of choice. They're small. They're minnows. These are full grown. They're only a couple inches. And
so don't go swimming in a green pool because there may be fish.
They're top feeders. And as you can see right here where these mosquito larvae are, I don't know if you can see them, but they're hanging right there on the top of the water because they actually have to breathe.
Oh, they breathe? They don't have...
No.
They're oxygen
yeah, they
breathers.
have to breathe. So that's why a lot of times, even in like a lot of people think like lakes and stuff like that will breed mosquitoes. A lot of times you won't have any mosquito breeding at all because a large body of water like that has lots of wave action and that type of thing.
So it's the stagnant water, the small pools.
It's the small pools that they prefer to breed in because they can't hang up there and take in their oxygen. If you tap on it or disrupt them, you can see that they'll move away from the edge, and then you'll see them squiggling around down in the water. And then after a while, they'll have to come back up to breathe. And if they can't, if there's no surface tension where they can get that little siphon tube up there, they'll actually drown.
Become fish food again.
Yep.
So we were talking earlier before we started the taping of this program about if I see a dragonfly in my neighborhood, is that necessarily a sign that someone's water is stagnant, or?
Well, I mean, it's a sign that you have an aquatic environment around. The dragonfly is actually in a natural system, an aquatic system, would eat these larvae. There's all kinds of different water bugs and those types of things that would be predators on these larvae.
I see.
What happens a lot of times in a swimming pool, you think about it, the water goes bad because there's no chlorine. It kind of stagnates, and the mosquitoes are kind of mobile and flying around. You will get other bugs that will lay eggs, and soon after a while, after maybe a year or so, we've seen some swimming pools that look just like
a pond
out in the middle of the forest.
So what can people do? Give us the tips for a regular person with a house.
Well, I mean, besides having a green stagnant pool that you don't want to have.
We don't want to have
that. The main thing is these guys have to, they can't become an adult mosquito without living in water. So the eggs are laid in water. They go through their whole life cycle in water. It's just the very end of their existence that they're flying around as an adult.
So make sure there's no stagnant water.
So any kind of water, and it doesn't take a lot. I mean, just a couple of spoonfuls of water.
Really?
If it stays, you know, say it's protected and it's in the shade, and it can stay there for, you know, a week to 10 days, you can get mosquito breeding.
So an
there.
example of that could be a pool cover in the
Pool
dark
cover,
areas.
yeah,
the
we found mosquito breeding in wheelbarrows, in boats, you know, anything that can hold water, especially after like a monsoon storm. You know, anything that'll hold that water and is protected a little bit, and that water will stand there and maybe stagnate a little bit. You'll get those mosquitoes laying those eggs.
And the same if you're in your landscaping, if you have sprinklers going.
Same thing. We found water bottles and stuff like that were up under oleanders and things like that, and just anything that, you know, can hold that water. Even sprinklers, if they're continuing to, you know, keep an area wet, you can get some breeding going there. You can get it from the condensation from, you know, AC or from evaporative coolers.
So if people are recognizing that there's a lot of mosquitoes around their house, but they know or they assume that they're in good shape, what should they do? Who should they contact to let you know?
They should give us a call, let us know that they're experiencing mosquitoes. And what we'll do is we have 24 inspectors that are given different areas of the county, and that's their area, and that they take care of it. So the inspector in that area will usually come out and set up what's called a CO2 trap, a carbon dioxide trap, and they'll set that out in the afternoon. That'll actually attract mosquitoes to it because it thinks it's some big warm-bodied animal that it can come get a blood meal from. That's what attracts mosquitoes.
Little vampires.
Yeah,
really.
that's what attracts mosquitoes to me and you when we're outside as we're breathing. You know, I always tell people if you don't want them to bite you, just, you know, stop breathing, and be no problem. You know? But we'll set the CO2 trap out. We'll collect what, you know, is ever in the area, and then we'll go back, check to see what's there, and kind of go from there depending on what we find.
Well, this is it's fascinating information. It's information that everyone needs to be aware of, and keep an eye on their pool, keep an eye on stagnant water, and keep an eye on their neighbors as well.
Neighbors, you know, your property.
Yeah, because we're all in this together, and you know, West Nile virus, though it's only been around going on 10 years, it's still a very dangerous disease.
It's here to stay.
It's here to stay.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, John. I really appreciate you coming here. And if you have any questions, you can contact the Maricopa County
Environmental Services
hotline. Okay, and that's the number you see on your screen right now as well. And we'll have more information as well on peoriaaz.gov. So until our next program, thank you very much, and we're so glad you're able to share this information with us.
Thanks for having me.